International shipping is all about these high-stakes decisions that have to be made in minutes, not hours. But what if you could take that super complex, high-pressure moment and turn it into a confident, solid decision in like under a minute? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. We've all been there, right? The pressure is just on. Every single department needs something from you, and that clock is ticking. You can feel the room getting a little warmer, your eyes are bouncing between all these acronyms, and you just know that one wrong move could cost thousands in fees or delays you did not budget for. In that exact moment, the difference between hesitating and being confident is the difference between a shipment that's stalled and one that's sailing smoothly. So, what's your move going to be? Let's be real. In that high-pressure situation, it is so tempting to just go with what you've always used, or to just say yes to whatever the customer is asking for. But that path of least resistance, it's absolutely loaded with hidden costs and friction that are going to come back to bite you hard. And listen, these are not just theoretical problems. This stuff happens every single day. Using FOB, free on board, for container shipment, that creates this weird, risky gap where you have zero control over the handoff. Offering DDP, delivered duty paid, sounds great for the customer, but if you can't actually act as the importer in their country, guess what? That shipment is going absolutely nowhere. The big takeaway here is that these common habits are actually major liabilities. And this is what's really at stake. This isn't just about getting an acronym right on a piece of paper. It's about protecting your company's bottom line, keeping your customers happy, and making sure the entire supply chain keeps moving without any unnecessary drama or finger-pointing. And the benefits of getting this right are, wow, they're incredibly tangible. This isn't just theory. The source material we looked at pointed to a machinery exporter who cut their average shipment delays by 2 full days. How'd they do it? Just one small change. They stopped using the default FOB and switched to the much more appropriate FCA for their shipments. That is a massive operational win. So, how do we get there? How do we make that happen? Well, the solution isn't about memorizing some dry legal textbook. It's about adopting a whole new way of thinking, a new mindset that's built for speed and, most importantly, for accuracy. This is the core idea right here. You build your own rapid response playbook. It uses what we call guardrails, simple yes or no questions like, hey, are we even registered for tax in that country? And that just instantly eliminates bad choices. And it relies on visual cues to help you see the answer, not just dig around for it. And look at how doable this is. It's not some crazy process. It breaks down into 4 really clear steps. You figure out what your company can actually do. You create a short list of your best bet terms. You write a few simple scripts to explain your choices. And then you build the visual tools that make it all just click in seconds. Okay, let's get into the foundation of this whole mindset. Before we can start making these lightning-fast decisions, we have to have a rock-solid grip on the basic structure of the terms themselves. So Incoterms are organized into 4 pretty simple groups. The E group, that's minimal responsibility for you, the seller. It's basically, here's the stuff, come and get it. The F group means you handle getting it to the buyer's carrier. The C group is where you pay for the main transport, but, and this is so important, the risk transfers way earlier. And finally, the D group means you, the seller, are responsible for getting the goods all the way to the final destination. Now, here's a classic trap that costs companies a ton of money. CIP and CIF. They look similar, but they are critically different. CIF is for sea transport only, while CIP can be used for any mode of transport. But the biggest difference, the one you really have to watch, is insurance. Under the latest Incoterms, CIP requires the seller to provide a much higher level of insurance coverage than the bare minimum required by CIF. Getting this wrong can leave your high-value cargo dangerously underinsured. So here's a golden rule. You gotta match the Incoterm to the reality of the shipment. If your container is moving by truck from a factory before it even gets to a port, using FOB is a big mistake. Why? Because the risk doesn't transfer until the goods are on board the vessel, and that's a moment you don't actually control. The much smarter, safer choice is FCA, where the risk transfers cleanly the second you hand that container over to the first truck driver. Okay, this is where we move beyond just words on a page. To make decisions in 60 seconds, you need to be able to see the answer. And visual maps are what turn these abstract rules into a clear picture of what's actually happening. So first, we have to map out the physical journey. Every single shipment moves through these key stages, from your factory all the way to the final destination.
Understanding this timeline is the bedrock for seeing exactly where the handover of risk and cost happens for each Incoterm.
In this visual, this gets to the absolute heart of the C terms like CPT and CIP. I want you to notice the two separate lines. The seller pays for transport all the way to the destination. That's the long blue line. But the risk of loss or damage, that transfers to the buyer way, way back at the beginning of the journey. That's the short red line. Seeing this separation prevents one of the most common and costly misunderstandings in all of shipping. So when you put all of this together, the mindset, the core knowledge, the visual tools, what does it actually look like in the real world? It's a complete transformation. It's a total game changer.
Just imagine that for a second. The same high-pressure scenario pops up, but this time you're not scrambling. You just consult your playbook, you pick the right term, you fire off a quick email that clearly states the handoff point and all the responsibilities, and you're done in about a minute. That's the goal right there. And this is the payoff. You stop guessing and you start guiding. You're not just moving boxes anymore. You're managing risk, you're protecting margins, and you're building trust. You literally become the go-to expert who can connect the dots between sales, logistics, and compliance, making the whole operation smarter and way more efficient. With a simple, personalized playbook, that kind of calm, authoritative confidence is so much closer than you think. The pressure that used to cause all that hesitation, it now just becomes your cue for clarity. So the real question is your team just 1 minute away from confidence?